And, and to your point, when fascism comes, it's not leaving just like COVID-19. It's not leaving in a couple of months, right? It's not leaving in a term, right? It will be endemic, right, to this country. And, I just want to go back to what you said, because God damn, Waj, the imagery of the fact that the streets of America are not paved with gold, but, with paved people's with blood. It is so true and so disturbing. And I go back to Virginia, your state, which was the center point for critical race theory and that fight. And we saw how that played out. But that is the point, right? It is to keep the white masses cloaked in ignorance of their own history, right? It is to deny the truth, to deny the patterns of violence, to deny the cruelty. I can't tell you how many times as an only Black kid in a white suburban class, when a white teacher would be talking and teaching about slavery and said, well, it was a necessary evil. Wow. Right? Like, wow. I cannot tell you. What state
were you in?
New York. New York, Long Island, right? Like, it
Long
was
Island. Okay, wait. That's a carve out.
Right,
that's a carve out.
Right, it's a carve out, like upstate. But it's like, it's a necessary evil. Oh, everybody owned slaves then. How many times have you heard that? Yeah. Again, justifying the cruelty just because everybody around you was doing it, right? Was torturing, beating, raping human beings and selling them, right? So every time that I would hear people, especially during the height of our undocumented crisis in America, say, as we're locking kids up in cages, this isn't who we are. I'm like, you literally sold human beings on auction blocks, and you don't want to teach about it. You don't want to tell the truth about it because it makes you feel bad, right?
And not only does it make you feel bad, it forces you to confront your role in either perpetuating this misery and oppression or confronting it and fighting against it, right? And so how do you absolve yourself completely from both guilt or any culpability and responsibility is you erase it. And if you aren't telling your story, like I always say this, if you aren't telling your story is always being told to you by others, which is why a beautiful symbolism here of all of this is the 1619 Project. Who would have thought that a New York Times Review magazine 1619 Project would so completely unhinge and break white conservative America, right? Where they're so wedded to this myth. They're so wedded to this fictitious narrative of the white male patriarch with the benevolence who came here and built this country with nothing, and America as a beacon of hope where you just pull yourselves up from your bootstrap. And Nicole Hannah-Jones and historians are like, well, slavery. And 1619, to the point where like, we will rewrite 1619 and show you the true history of America, 1776.
76.
Yes.
And it's the fragility, but it really is about the creation of a moral Disneyland, right? Everything about America has fed back and mirrored back to white America their greatness, their kindness. Oh, they were benevolent slave owners. Without them, those people would have never had 3 square meals a day.
That's right.
Or without those slave masters, they would have remained in their countries on the continent of Africa, right? Like we can also tell that story. But what has been presented back to them is that they can do no wrong. That everything about them is right, that they come from this sea of innovators and bootstrappers and entrepreneurs and the founding fathers, right? That this is their legacy. So anything that challenges that narrative, even if it is the truth, then has you look at your life and say, wait a minute, how have I benefited from this? How have I been complicit? So the idea of even opening up conversation around it threatens every single lie that has been baked into this nation, along with the blood of those that have been beaten and marred and terrorized since the beginning.
And also it threatens their privilege and power, right? Because once they realize, oh, wait, these darkies are onto something. Oh, wait, this is caked into the system. Oh, wait, it's a completely rigged. Oh, wait, there is inequality. Oh, wait, there is injustice. Huh. What should I do now? Should I be on the side of progress and justice and live up to my alleged values and morals in this American dream? And that would mean forfeiting maybe some privilege or at the very least sharing power. Or do I want to keep this power and privilege because it seems kind of nice? And that's what you're seeing happen. You saw it happen in Virginia, ladies and gentlemen. You saw it happen. People got really angry at me when I wrote that article about a majority of white women who voted for Youngkin. But that's exactly what happened when it came to push versus shove, right? When it came to, to you literally living up to your alleged values and just giving up something, just giving up a little bit of comfort, just to accommodate the rest of us. They're like, nope, you're going to replace me as the top dog.
Yep.
And so another analogy I gave to someone yesterday, and I think this is what we're witnessing, is this commitment to the filibuster. This absurd commitment to the filibuster, right? Where like we need the filibuster for bipartisanship and we need it because it is a tool that shows that, we can get along. And I'm like, who's the one arguing the most for the filibuster? Manchin and Sinema. Who's the one voting, like going against it? But people of color. Because Obama was right when he called it a relic of Jim Crow used historically to advance what?
Whiteness.
White power at the expense of civil rights movement. So who benefits from the filibuster, Danielle? Not me, not you, not democracy, but white minority rule. And when push comes to shove, these two Democrats who have the power right now to tilt history on the side of justice and equality and progress, what have they cast their lot in? They've cast their lot for
the
white minority rule
of their
and filibuster.
The preservation of their own power.
You're seeing it happen at a micro level, You're seeing it happen in history. You're seeing it happen at the schools. You're seeing it happening in libraries. You're seeing this happen all across America. And at the very least, I can say the one positive is all the things that you and I and others have been talking about. At least we're not crazy. At least we weren't crazy.
I mean, at least we weren't crazy. So when we're sharing a jail cell, we can echo that back and forth to each other. Before we go, though, because it seems as if we have just given America a report card, and it wasn't great. Let's grade this administration. 1 year, all of these things that we have laid out, all of the things that they have been faced with. What are you giving as a composite score for this administration and why?
C or C plus, depends on my mood, based on what they inherited, based on the structural inequalities that are present that give them only a 50-50 tie in their cell with Manchin and Sinema, based on an obstructionist Republican Party, based on institutional whiteness that loves a both sides false equivalence, and based on the fact that they at least got infrastructure done, COVID relief bill, judges, and now late as hell, but at least fighting for voting rights, I would say C-ish, C plus.
Okay. I am offering, you are clearly nicer than I am. I am a strict grader and a former teacher. So,
oh no.
Depending on my mood, and the one that I'm in right now ain't great. If we're grading on a curve, I would give them a C minus. Okay. And if we're grading for real, a D plus.
Okay, that's not too bad. We're pretty close.
I mean, we're passing, but I know that in my household, if I brought home a D plus, that's not what my parents saw. They didn't see a passing grade. Okay,
I'd be
saw
D
an
for
abject
dead.
failure.
I'd be D for dead.
D for don't come home. How about that? How about don't come home? And I say that basically for all of the things that you just listed out. Sure, they were able to get COVID relief. They were able to get the building infrastructure done. But that's about it. I believe that this administration, as in an entirety, ran out of steam 6 months in. After the vaccine rollout, and not to mention they're in complete and total bungling of the pullout in Afghanistan, which we're not talking about either.
Which we should.
Right? Which we should. And so when you take all of these things into consideration, even with the shit show that they inherited, I think that they have managed to make matters worse. And for me, that is incredibly troubling.
And one thing I will say, and I think we've mentioned this in podcasts in the past, and we should probably devote a podcast to this, is 81 million people voted for Biden and Harris. Why are you afraid of coming out and meeting the public, you know? And if it's Biden's health, if you're afraid of his gaffes, it's fine. People voted for him with his gaffes, his long-windedness, his speeches. I don't care. Come out. I mean, I said this and people used to make fun of me. And they said, oh, you're an idiot. Ha ha. This will be a gift for the Republicans. I said Biden during this time of crisis and pandemic should do like one of those FDR fireside chats. You know, come out
Every
and just
week.
talk to people. Just week and use Kamala Harris. Use her. Protect her. Just like the Republicans protect Marjorie Taylor Greene. Circle around her, right? Because she is your vice president and people voted for Biden Harris. So I think it's also a failure of them on messaging and the fact they're listening to too many cowards in the Democratic establishment. They're finally waking up, Danielle, but have they woken up too late?